Good morning. Welcome to the Paul Green Comedy PaulCast. It is April 9th, 2024. This is episode 132, a podcast by a dreamer for all you dreamers out there going for big things in life and exploring all of the ups and downs of the journey on the way. I am a comedian and an actor and sharing my journey as it unfolds in real time. So, yesterday, I talked about habits and discipline and how that has never been my strong suit. And just me having to embrace the humility that if I'm going to get where I want to get, I am going to always need to be pushing back against my propensity to not be disciplined. So, I ultimately set 5 daily disciplines, kind of daily. Number 1 was to write 3 new jokes a day. Number 2 was, there's 3 exercise goals. To do 10 squats, 20 push-ups, 20 sit-ups, very simple. And then the last thing is to not drink sugar soda for 6 days out of the week. I can still do diet sodas for those 6 days. And if I want to eat some other sweets, I'm going to do that. Baby steps, everybody. So I thought as a fun treat to all of my listeners out there, I will be sharing with you on a daily basis the new jokes that I write. And please keep in mind, the reason to do this, because the reality is most jokes are not good. And what I am trying to establish is a habit of just writing every day, trying to come up with new jokes, and then hopefully I will start to find good jokes throughout. So you ready for my look at this? We are in the Paul Green Comedy Official Notebook. I started this notebook on February 24th of this year. And look how much I've already written just in a month and a half. Now, this isn't all comedy writing. I kind of like journal in here while also writing out my bits, writing out my material. All right. So, these are joke ideas, so they may not be fleshed out punchlines. Here we go. Look at me. I'm already apologizing to my online audience. These aren't going to be good. Okay. So joke number 1. So I've always been a night owl. I don't understand the term night owl because owls are already nocturnal. So it's already assumed they're out at night. So saying a night owl is kind of saying like a night. So the only reason you would put a qualifier like night owl is if it was something that you didn't expect, like a morning owl. Like if you saw an owl up at 6:30 in the morning with a Starbucks coffee cup, then you want to be like, oh, that's definitely a day owl. It's weird. Yeah. Okay. I have no idea if these are funny and still don't, and I won't. All right, here we go. Oh, this has to do with my drinking diet soda. So I'm on a diet, so I've been drinking a lot of Coke Zero, and I find that drinking Coke Zero at a restaurant feels like an insult when I'm eating alone. Like, this drink has the exact number of calories as number of friends who wanted to eat out with me tonight. Okay. Well, I think they're funny. I hope you think they're funny. Here's joke number 3. I read an article that there's been a drastic increase of adults moving back in with their parents, which I thought was pathetic because I only moved in with one of them. If you need support from both of your parents, you're kind of a loser. Oh, I have a tag. Mom, I hope you don't mind that I put this tag in there because I know my mom watches. So See, I live with my dad, but I actually send my mom a little bit of money every month to help with the rent. It's the least I can do since their divorce was my fault. I don't know why I thought that was so funny. Because, everybody tries to say your parents' divorce was not your fault. Well, no, it was definitely my fault. Okay. It's a joke, everybody. It's a joke. Mom, it's a joke. I hope that you're okay. All right. So, there's my 3 jokes for today. And I guess I will just have to get into that discipline of, to me, right now, it's just like, I just need to establish the discipline. It's fine. I'm not even worried about being funny yet. I'm not even worried about performing these. I just want to have, by the end of this month, I should have 90 new joke ideas. And from those 90, there should be at least a couple of funny ones. And if I can start to rebuild my stand-up comedy set based off of that level of methodical joke writing and combine that with my performance capabilities, I think I will be in a good spot. So, and something kind of cool happened. And when I was writing these, so I was at a restaurant drinking Coke Zero by myself, writing in my journal or writing in my notebook there. That's where the Coke Zero joke came from. And as I just started to think of jokes, first of all, I just started from a place of what's actually true about my life right now. Well, I am a night owl. I've always been a night owl. I'm drinking Coke Zero. I live with my dad. And taking those elements of truth, and then what I'm trying to challenge myself, and this is sort of a philosophical debate that comedians get in all the time, or maybe maybe not philosophical, but I'm actually trying to be honest, and either sharing an honest opinion, very clearly exaggerating what an opinion is, or having it be so clear that it's actually not, like I caused my parents' divorce, like I don't think anybody think that's going to be actually true, but everything else before that is completely factual. And what I'm trying to learn how to do is to make what's actually true actually funny, and put the truth in joke structure. Still have the surprise, still have the twist, still have all of that, but not having to invent facts. Sometimes I'll hear comedians, they'll literally say, all right, so I recently got married, for purposes of this joke, which they're literally saying, I'm not married, but I thought of a joke that has to do with marriage, and so I'm going to pretend to be married for the joke. And by the way, I have done plenty of that in my comedy career. I have just made up scenarios, made up situations, completely fabricated situations, took in a little bit of kernel of truth, but then exaggerated it well beyond what actually happened on any given situation. And I've really been challenging myself to move away from that and move into a more honest, authentic joke structure that is still funny, but I don't ever want anybody in the audience to go, wait, is that true? It either needs to be so obviously not true that it's very clear that it's an exaggeration, or so absolutely believable that nobody would actually question that I'm up there just saying what actually happened and sharing my actual opinions on it. So I don't know. It's an interesting challenge. It's an interesting challenge to go that route. So I'll see how that goes. But, even those jokes that I just shared about like a night owl, all I'm doing is just sharing my opinions on what it means to be a night owl and why we use that phrase and why it doesn't make sense. And that drinking Coke Zero alone in a restaurant feels like an insult, right? And that actually happened. I was actually in a restaurant. I'm actually drinking Coke Zero. I'm not making anything up. There actually is an increase of adults moving in with their parents. I actually do live with my dad, so that is what I am trying to figure out. And if I can just stick with this discipline of just writing jokes and jokes and jokes and jokes based off of what I actually think, what I actually feel, then hopefully I will start to see a new stand-up routine merge from this. So, and by the way, I've never approached stand-up this way before. My approach to writing stand-up has, for all intents and purposes, been a little lazy. I can own that. And I want to go to the next level with it. And I want to be able to, I have done so many stand-up comedy competitions in my life. I've never won any of them. Of all the stand-up comedy competitions that I've ever even done, I can only think of 2 times that I even advanced to like the next round. So I did the World Series of Comedy for a couple of years. They have a very complicated format. I don't want to go into it, but ultimately every comedy show is a comedy competition, and there are judges who are determining who's going to move forward to the next round. They have round 1, 2, round 1, 2, 3, I think 4, and then it's semifinals and the finals. One year, I got first place in my little segment in the first round out of like 8 comics of the round 1 people. And then I went into round 2 and I didn't advance. And it was only 8 people. So in the round 2 out of 8 people, I wasn't even the 3rd funniest, according to the judges. Now, art is subjective, comedy is subjective, blah, 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 blah. But I know what absolutely killing a room sounds like, and I wasn't doing that. Matter of fact, I remember the second year I did World Series of Comedy. That was the year that I advanced to the second round. In my round was the guy who won the whole competition. And he beat out, I think it was like 150 comics. And I remember watching his set after I had done my set, because again, we were in that same round. I'm just going like, oh yeah, that's the guy. And there's something in that. There's something of just being so undeniably funny that it's just so clear that I'm the guy. That was the case in round 1, but round 1 was a bunch of newbies. Like, I was competing against people who have been doing comedy like a year, who like barely had 5-minute sets put together. And I'd been in it 6-7 years by then. Oh, and that guy in round 2, by the way, who won the whole thing, I think he was 2 years in and took the whole competition. So, anyway, that's the only time I've ever even... So that was one time that I advanced. And then there was one time in 2019 where it was a similar thing. It was like a preliminary round, and I advanced. Matter of fact, I think I got first place in that preliminary round out of like 8 comics, who again were all sort of newer comics. But then the big final competition, I wasn't even close. And I did pretty good. I had a pretty good set, but I was just so clearly not the top 3 funniest person. And, comics like to complain, they only want this or they only want that. And I'll agree, every once in a while, somebody who maybe didn't seem as funny as somebody else, who maybe is, has a unique thing, or they're a minority, and, we can play that game all day long. But anytime I've ever watched a comedy competition and there is a clearly funniest person, that person always wins. The second or third place slots, now maybe there's a little bit of, maybe the judges like this type of comedy versus this type of comedy. Like maybe they were a kind of more close in terms of like actually how much laughter they elicited. Sure. But that first place guy or woman that's almost never a question. So that is humbling. And when I look at the comics who I really admire and really look up to, like my buddy Andrew Norelli, who actually was the one who challenged me to do 3 jokes a day. When I watch like his David Letterman set, it is the most solid, meticulous, incredibly funny, unbelievable 7 minutes of stand-up comedy. He's on David Letterman. And he gets, I think I mentioned this, he gets an applause break almost every line that he says. Like, he gives the setup to the joke, and just as the audience is picturing what he's talking about, they start to applaud. And then he actually delivers his punchline, and the punchline is so funny that they laugh, and then they applaud, and then he goes tag, 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 and sometimes gets another round of applause. And then he goes on to his next bit. Round of applause, laugh, round of applause, laugh. About 5-6 years ago when I first moved to LA, I actually took his late night comedy set and I put it in a spreadsheet. I literally just transcribed it. And then I put a timestamp. And then I looked at every single word that he said and how long it took for him to get the sentence out till how long there was laughter. And then I rated the audience laughter, I think, on a scale of 1 to 10. And then how many applause breaks. I wonder if I could find that. I bet you I still have that rummaging around in my Google Doc somewhere. I think he had something like 6 applause breaks in a 7-minute set. By the way, he won the first year of World Series of Comedy. He took the whole thing because there was no question that he was by far the funniest. And I would say on any given night, I'm not even the funniest comic on the shows that I'm doing now. You know what I mean? It's like, I'll do my set and then I'll be sitting in the green room and then I'll hear the next comic going on. I'll be like, it seems like they're laughing a lot louder and a lot more consistently than how they were laughing for me. So that is the ultimate goal, is for me to step up my game as a comedic writer, hone the craft as a writer, and try to get that level of discipline and that level of craft to match my other strength as a comedic performer and a comedic actor and an improviser, and see what happens from there. But it all starts with sitting alone at a restaurant and writing 3 jokes. So that's what I am up to, everybody. Feel free to hold me accountable. I will be talking about my joke writing and my fitness and no soda goal every day to hold myself accountable. So you can all hold me accountable as well. If I fail to mention it on a YouTube episode, feel free to call me out in the comments, and I will make sure I let you know if I actually did follow through. So, so far, I have not done my exercises, but I'm going to go do it right now. because even though you are watching this in the morning, I am filming this at about 10 o'clock the night before. So I am going to go get my exercises in, which again is not super lofty. Oh, I was going to talk about this. I think I got off track when I was talking about writing at the restaurant. And that is, once I was just there and I started writing, I actually wanted to write more. It wasn't like, how long till I get done with this third joke? Once I got 3 jokes in, I had a little bit of like, hey, I kind of like how these are going. What else can I write? And I think it's so important to set daily goals. It's going to sound counterintuitive, that are actually really easy. Easy enough that they can, there's really no excuse for you not doing that. And I know historically for me, I've made the mistake of whenever I want to make a big adjustment in my life, like an exercise goal or a writing goal. And I actually did this recently. My goal was, I'm going to write 100 minutes a day, and I'm going to do 100 push-ups and 100 sit-ups. And I didn't hit all those goals once. And I finally had to go like, no. It's not about way big burnout. It's about, what can I do daily that I know I will do that will move the needle? Doing 20 push-ups every single day for the rest of the year is so much better than doing 100 push-ups one day and never again. And it will take me 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, and I can do them anywhere. I can do push-ups and sit-ups and squats anywhere. So that's the mindset that I am trying to incorporate, and adapting the correlated discipline to go, I'm going to do this every day. I have an app on my phone that I can track my sit-ups, my push-ups, my squats, and my 3 jokes. So I can check it off. It sends me a little reminder just in case I forget. And I am also now making myself accountable to my online audience of at least 3 regulars. I think I got 3 regulars. I know my mom watches. I know my buddy Jim says he watches. And then Tia, I don't know who you are because you won't tell me who you are, but evidently we're friends. And I think for some reason you like being anonymous to me, or that you like that you know who I am and I know who you are, but I don't know who you are. Does that make sense? I mean, I know you, but I know that I know you, but I don't know who you are. If you ever would like to let me know so I can remember and go like, oh, how's it going? That would be amazing, but I can't find anything about you. And yes, I have looked. Anyway, so, I mean, I've looked at your YouTube profile and there's nothing there for you to be like, oh, I remember you. So anyway, to my 3 regulars and then anybody else, if you're joining me and watching this journey and enjoying this experience with me, feel free to hold me accountable to my goals. All right, everybody, that is all for today. What did I say it was? Is it April 9th? I'm really tired because I'm a night owl and I didn't get much sleep. I think it's April 9th, 2024, episode 132 of the Paul Green Comedy PaulCast. I love you all so much, and I will talk to you tomorrow.